Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. I put this poll up on the community tab on YouTube the other day just to see what kind of response I would get from people about their involvement with Metazoo, investor only, player only, investor and player, or other, which was mostly I have no involvement. And I did not expect that zero people would say player only. I expected a couple, but initially I looked at these results and I saw that investor only outscored investor and player by a 4-1 margin. And I thought, man, that is really bad. That means that this whole house of cards of Metazoo could just crumble any day now if all these investors get spooked, if the prices go down, if anything happens, there's no players backing them up, creating the long-term demand. And that was just my initial thought. And you have to understand that, if you put boxes of sealed product back in your closet for the long term, what you're really counting on is that players and collectors in the future will want the contents of those boxes. Much more often, people are interested in opening the boxes and getting to the singles inside. And really, they're interested in already having gotten the singles, driven up the price of the singles, creating inverted EV, and then making it worthwhile to open the box and add the singles in that box back to the market available for sale. So ultimately, you have to have players. You can't just have a bunch of investors. Maybe you could get by with just a lot of collectors, but people tend to kind of finish their collections, and I haven't really ever thought about that. So initially, I thought this was really bad that ratio between investor only and investor and player is 4-1. It basically means that of everyone involved with Metazoo, only 20% of them are playing the game. Now, the problem with this, of course, is my sample here is from a self-selecting group of people who are mostly subscribers to my channel. Now, YouTube will serve up your community posts to people who are not subscribers, but everyone who is a subscriber gets served up. And so, for the most part, the people here answering this question already subscribe to my channel because they enjoy content around TCG investing. But then I thought, let's go out and look at some of this product, this sealed Metazoo product that people may be invested in. And I realized it wasn't as crazy as I expected in terms of prices. Now, obviously, you have the Cryptid Nation, which was the first expansion for Metazoo, and you have the Kickstarter edition, booster box, and spellbook. And, you're going to expect those to always be crazy price no matter what. And then Nightfall booster case. I believe so far only Nightfall first edition has come out. There is no unlimited edition Nightfall yet. And then you have Cryptid Nation first edition. So this is what the first edition, I think, actually came second after the Kickstarter edition. So it was the second, but it's the first edition. But even at $800 a box, with Flesh and Blood, Crucible of War first edition boxes are right at $800. And that was the third expansion that Flesh and Blood came out with. And so Cryptid Nation is the first expansion, and the first edition boxes are the second printing. But $800 for this just doesn't seem that crazy. In other words, it doesn't seem like there's this perilously high market value for these things that could just suddenly crumble away if a bunch of investors get spooked. And so I think the risk is not that great, because after that you get into this stuff like, okay, here's another Kickstarter object that of course is going to be very expensive, but then Wilderness first edition booster box, and it's a case, so it's less than $100 a box. You get into Cryptid Nation second edition, and these are what, $90 a box. And, $90 a box is about what people expect to pay for a booster box of a TCG nowadays. So, after these Kickstarter edition and the first edition of Cryptid Nation, everything is down to reasonable prices. And then you have other stuff, the spell books and the theme decks and other interesting sealed products they put together for Metazoo. But it does not look like speculatively high and dangerously high prices that can just suddenly crumble out from under you if you have a position in this. It looks kind of reasonable. Now, the potential downside is if Metazoo stops growing, or if it contracts, or, if it just doesn't take a hold very well in the long term, you may not see any appreciation from here. I think that's the biggest risk, is little to no appreciation. But a lot of these prices for these sealed products, the most expensive ones, these are basically what you would expect from in-print TCG games today. And so, that initial worry when I saw this 4-to-1 ratio kind of melted away when I looked at what the actual prices are and considered that this is a very slanted sample group to run this kind of question against. So let me know what you think. I know Metazoo is kind of polarizing mostly because of the art, and I can definitely understand how some people could look at the art and just think it looks awful, and some people could look at the art and think it's a charming throwback to their childhood. So I can definitely see how that divides people. But let me know what you think in general about this poll. And otherwise, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot, guys.